time to strap in and get ready. The leaders in NRL SuperCoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Mattrix, and Whisperer.
G'day guys, welcome to the week 4 round 4 preview on the Insight NRL Show. I'm the SuperCoach Brain, and I'm joined as always by my co-hosts, the SuperCoach Mattrix and the SuperCoach Whisperer. Matty, we've missed you, mate. It's been a week and a half. You've had some time off. You've been living the dream over in New Zealand, and by the looks of what it says on the screen, you've had a bit of a tough week. So, use the next minute to talk us through how you're feeling and how you're going to come back this week.
So my score is actually the amount of beers I had in New Zealand. Not my rank. I didn't overdo it. So that was good. And I spent the last week, 8 days, trying to find Luke Metcalf's talent. I believe it got lost after round 2. So much like Space Jam, I had a look around. Wasn't able to, I got sucked through a golf hole up there in Queenstown at one stage. But yeah, no, still didn't find it. It's been a slippery slope for me. Started 4,000th, went to 6,000th, dropped a great 28,000 spots last week. But holding strong. I had these guys for a reason. And I was probably 200 odd points week 1 up on front of a lot of people. And it's just the way I play the game. There's not too many safe options in my team. So yeah, it's going to be a roller coaster.
Always is with the Mattrix, and no clown suit or wig just yet, Fresh Prince, but that will be coming very soon for the lowest scorer, and there is every chance as soon as we implement it, I'll go 3 weeks in a row being the shitter of the week. Josh, how are you, mate? How's things? We've had an interesting 48 hours of news or 24 hours of news since TLT dropped.
Yeah, less eventful than Matty's. No tangent needed for me. I'm just in a fullback confusion cycle. It's just sleep apnea. Oh, not sleep apnea. It's just sleep paranoia, but it's just all these fullbacks going round and round. I've got no idea what to do. Yeah,
there's plenty of conversation around which fullback we need to get in this week. There's a couple of very good options and some news that's come out today that might kind of sour our thoughts on maybe one of them. But we'll talk about all of that tonight, guys. Please hit subscribe and like if you haven't yet and you don't follow the show. We would really appreciate it. You'll get the notification every time we go live so you don't miss another show. And you audio listeners on Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button, leave us a 5-star review. If you haven't yet, guys, you can join the Unlimited League. This one's probably another 5 or 6 weeks away from finishing up or locking out. 211518 is the league code, and you can win the standard squeeze of the week by scoring the top score in this league. So it's not too late to join. Jump on in there. And of course, you would have heard us talk a fair bit about the World Cup and the UFC. It's not too late, but it does end at the end of this week. We'll be closing the doors to the World Cup where you compete across all 4 SuperCoach sports, and we will be closing the doors to the NRL UFC where you compete across all 4 NRL Fantasy, SuperCoach, Dream Team, and Mixer competition. So you can jump on in for $25 there and take us on. But we've got a lot to talk about, lads. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about the winners and losers from TLT for round 4. We'll talk buy, hold, sell. We'll give you our watch list, the guys we're watching very closely ahead of round 5. We'll give you our thoughts on Nico, Cleary, Ponga, Pappy, Tino, Gutho, Walsh, Tui Pilotu. You would have heard it from the Q&A last night. We've been talking a lot about these guys. We'll talk about them again. Captain's Corner's coming, as well as our game day squad of the round, boys. But Mattrix, we've got the squeeze of the week. And obviously, we bring it every week. It's the top scorer of the Unlimited League, mate. Who's taking it out this week?
Yeah, it was Milos, coach of Wildfish. And I tell you what, that's a ripper name. 1407. And Milos, he had some interesting guys. He had Haas, he had To'o, which I think is a bit of a pod at this point in the year. Of course, he had to have Garrick. I had the C on Nico, which I was kind of expecting to see the C on Garrick on the winner this week. But yeah, congratulations to Milos. You can claim your prize by contacting us on social media, any of us, and we'll get you out that squeeze pack or your 4-in-1. So you get a little pack of these. There's a few over my shoulder, or of course the 4-in-1 to keep your drinks cold and your other drinks hot. I don't know. They're fucking awesome.
Do you drink hot drinks? Because I don't know whether I've seen you have one.
I drink coffee up until about 11 a.m. every day, just so you know.
Yeah, good. and then the beers come out, which is fair because it's 5 p.m. somewhere, of course. But for anybody who doesn't back themselves in SuperCoach, maybe you don't back yourself in SuperCoach, you don't think you can win the week, but you want to go and get yourself 15% off, you can use the code IFS2025 on thestandardsqueeze.com. So go and I guess support those that support us, boys. We've talked enough. We've got to talk about the week ahead of SuperCoach. Let's go through the weekly. Josh, you experienced the new winners and losers stingers. Maddie hasn't seen it yet. And you know what? The good thing is, the beauty of it, last week we had to talk about a lot of losers from TLT, but this week there's more winners than losers. So let's chat about the winners first. Kick us off, Josh. What's happening on the TLT docket, mate?
Not much on mine. Now here we go. So we've got Dane Laurie at fullback. Tom Jenkins moves to centre with Paul Alamotti on the wing. Some late mail today was Blaze Talungi being dropped out of the squad, and a couple of Panthers fans throwing their arms up in the air. But I guess the feel-good story of the week, boys, Alex Johnson returns. Death, taxes, and Alex Johnson falling over for a double to end on 85.
Yeah, and probably off the back of a Cody Walker cutout pass as well, for Cody Walker to get junk in the 77th minute and get him from a 32 up to a 68. Mattrix, you've been a Cody Walker owner forever. AJ, probably not much interest initially, but Latrell's back next week. I tell you what, there's going to be a little bit of Rabbitohs talk when Troll gets back and Cody becomes relevant again.
There could be a shift. I'm so worried for Humphreys that that big second row forward looking bloke with the number 7 on his back, and just once Trell, Cody, and AJ come back into the team to form the Power Rangers out there on the left side, the times are changing in there at Souths. But look, Cody Walker comes into relevance because we know he's got that excellent, connection with AJ as well. And I tell you what, anytime try scorers are going to cop an absolute pizzling with AJ back.
Yes, absolutely. Especially this weekend, Josh. I'm assuming you just recorded over the cap. I'm looking forward to hearing about how many tries that AJ is going to score and how much money we're going to make.
Is it 3 or 4?
$2.20 anytime, so it's
what?
Probably the best odds we've ever seen AJ on. So he's definitely.
Oh yes.
Boys, we have Nat White, we have Naf White, we have Nat Butcher returning from injury. We have the Groot, Jalen de Groot, JDG, named at fullback. My fantasy savior this week. We also have Garamit Shibasaki holding the spot as Mariner drops out for Katoni Staggs. And Goss also holds the start in brackets here by Nathan for now. Mate, I've never seen a starting back rower score a try and not crack 40.
I don't know. We'll talk about buy, hold, sell later. He features. I'll give you the red hot tip, and I'm not quite sure he features in the hold column. Mattrix, how are you feeling about the Goz? Because I reckon it's only a matter of time before we see Piakura start. Could be as early as this weekend. We might see a late switch. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's just better, and I've kind of said that all along. I am a happy owner. I'm definitely not playing him any week, but look, he could get some junk. He was bottom dollar, but as we downgrade some guys and upgrade some guys, yeah, he could just be a guy that you move on. I just think averaging 38, scoring 70, and we're entering round 4. Scored 70 in that first week. Like, he's been pretty garbage. And look, we've known this. We've seen the Goss play before. Piakura's the most talented. I think Jaden Hunt is right up there with as hard of a worker, despite not being as talented as some other second rowers in the comp. But yeah, I think even Jaden Hunt's better than Goss. I don't really know what's going on there.
Yeah, it's a defensive focus, even though Goz hasn't exactly stood out defensively either. It's a bit of a weird one, but Madge has his guys, so you can't argue against that. We've got Hamish Stewart. He holds his bench spot. I was actually really surprised to see Hamish Stewart named. Wheels up for anybody who has him at front row forward 4. We'll make some nice coin this week. Emre Gula holds on to his starting prop role as well. We also saw David Clemmer come onto the bench for his debut for the Dragons as well. And Dylan Egan probably a popular fantasy buy, as well as maybe Stewart and De Groot and a few of these other guys playing their first and second games. He replaces Blake Lowry, which is a very logical decision, Josh. Dylan Egan, we can have a look, obviously. Anything else that tickles your fancy here with the Dragons?
No.
Good answer.
No.
Full stop.
Tyron Wishart starting at the 7, replacing Jerome Hughes, and more importantly, will be goal kicking from the horse's mouth of Ryan Pappenhausen this week. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, in some more detail. We have Joe Tarpany returning. We have Corey Halls moving to lock, and the greatest supercoach of all time, Matty Nicholson, cementing his spot on the edge. We have certain starter being named to play, who's doing some rounds in my head, some lot of head noise around Turbo boys. I guess we can just rattle off the last one. We can talk about a couple of these ones. Kitiona Katoga starts on the edge with Jack Williams to prop. Jarrell Skelton named on the wing. Didn't train today. Does have to get through some more fitness stuff. Follow me at SC Whisperer. Shameless plug. I'll try and post anything that I get from Tiger stuff. Solomon Atape on the extendeds, and by the sounds of it, he will come in for Skelton if he's out. And Mattrix is his favourite player, Aaron Clark, to get a bump in minutes, with Dylan Walker signing to the Parramatta Eels effective immediately.
Yeah, I guess a couple of talking points. Turbo, first of all, we traded him out pretty publicly. We were pretty concerned last week around the hamstring injury and what was happening there. I think everybody that had traded him out would get an itchy finger knowing that he's coming up against the Eels this week, and it'll be a very nervous watch / maybe just don't watch. Maybe that could be the best approach this week, is just completely avoid the Manly and the Eels game altogether if you don't own Turbo, because it could be a tough one. We'll talk about Turbo. Or do you want to talk about Turbo now, Josh? Because obviously you've been kind of playing around with bringing him back into your team. Talk to us about where your head's at with him at the moment.
I was always a big fan. Never really had any doubt about him coming back to perform to his best. Always been a huge Turbo fan, and never had any concerns over his performance with that hamstring injury. I've been a firm believer. So just want that known if I do bring him in. But if I don't bring him in, yeah, I'm never keen at all. Like, those hamstrings are ticking time bombs. They're going to snap any minute. I've just got no confidence in the bloke at all. That's pretty much where my head's at, if that sums up in about 20 seconds.
And I reckon that's probably every 20 seconds on loop in your head right now is how to approach that.
Fullback has become so murky because we had such like a golden platter of a 640k goal kicking fullback for one of the best attacking sides in the comp. And I still think Pap's a good buy. I still think he's a fine buy. It's just, does he average 75 or does he average 95? And it's now 75 for this week. And then the question becomes, like, what happens? Because Jerome Hughes is due back in 2 weeks' time. That would see Wishart drop out, and that would see most likely Pappenhausen goal kicking. But then how long is Meany out for? It's 4 to 6. Is 2 weeks of goal kicking Pappy really worth it? Probably not. It's tough. And Gutho has his concerns, obviously. Like, it's not a slam dunk pick. Keeney's out. Turbo's got hammies made of glass. Teddy, you and I are now starting to look at Tedesco seriously, but his draw is not golden for the next month. It's rough. There's a world where Will Kennedy just ends up in our side because we've panicked.
Yeah, I can give you the red hot tip right now. Will Kennedy will not be coming anywhere near Brain Ball. He will not be getting a contract at Brain Ball. Matrix, tell us your thoughts on Turbo, because you've obviously missed all of the kerfuffle last week where we were toing and froing on what to do with him. And did you own him? I'm assuming
I owned him.
Right?
Yeah. So I owned him, and then I traded him out. I actually traded him out. I downgraded to Fletcher Sharp, of all people, and I've massaged that around this week. But I just wanted to go a little bit of a pod, and if 54's Fletcher's floor, I'm probably fine to keep him there. But look, I'm always going to watch with slits through my fingers, but I'm pretty happy not owning him this week. Like, if they go up relatively early against Parramatta, I could see him getting a rest. And I'm just not willing to risk that. I'm also not a Garrick owner, so that's probably why I dropped 26,000 spots last week.
Feels.
Yeah. Did we just touch? But yeah, look, I don't know. I'm probably not gonna watch the Manly game, to be completely honest.
I'm with you. It could be bad.
Yeah, but
it could be real bad.
It could be an early shower for Turbo if Parramatta are as bad as we've sort of been expecting them to be, right?
I think so. Look, at the end of the day, I think he's definitely a guy that if you have in your team, you're not trading him out this week for the matchup. We've seen some people actually thinking about moving Turbo on this week. It's a fat no from me. If you've got him, just enjoy it. If you don't have him, I'm probably not buying him back in. I think there's just too many other options that are going to make you cash this week that we'll talk about soon. Skelton, named on the wing, plays the last game of the round again. This has happened to us twice in a row. We got the early news on Turbo. I'm praying we get some early news on Skelton, but it looks like they're probably going to give him a bit more time, Josh. How are you inclined to play this? Because I think we've had conversations in the WhatsApp. The subscribers have been talking about this all week around what we do with Skelton, whether we start him, whether we just cop the fact that maybe we'll miss him this week. What are you doing? Are you starting him on field and just copying an AE if he misses?
Yeah, so right now, I'm like I said this on last night's pod, like I'm very fortunate that my AEs are actually quite good this week. All of my guys that aren't playing are 80-minute players, and the only one that isn't is Hamish Stewart, who's averaging 44. So it's not like I'm carrying a Duffy, or I'm carrying Duffy, but he's been dropped. But I'm not carrying a Dimitri, or I'm not carrying a Goss. I'm not having these guys that are really going to hurt. If my AE gets 20 points, so be it. They played 80 minutes. It just wasn't their week. That's fine. I can live with that. So I think I'm going to play Skelton unless we get a confirmation earlier that we don't. Otherwise, I'm having to put Shibasaki on field. It's not the end of the world. It's just not something that, really gets me excited. If I'm thinking about trying to make myself aroused, it's not really having Shibasaki as centering 4. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's fair. There's not really much to talk about. Aaron Clark, yeah, he probably gets a bump. Boys, I reckon there's every chance he gets a bump with Dylan Walker now moving to the Eels. Look, does it change your opinion on whether you trade out Aaron Clark, maybe even Dimitri as well, Mattrix? Because you're trading Waz galore this week, and it could even be Waz galore next week, really, with the way that your team looks. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm so off the Waz. But I'm probably going to trade Val Malga out, but I might just go somebody else instead of Aaron Clark just to see how those minutes look. The way that I've seen it, Dimitri is, of course, extremely talented, but maybe not 100% ready to step into a 40-minute role or even a 35-minute role. I think they'll just give Aaron Clark a little bit more burn. And if we can see him score that sort of, if he can get a bump by 6 or 7 points, I'll ride that for a little bit and keep, like, he's got a 20 break even or 23 break even. It's a bit lower. I was going to trade out Aaron Clark, but I think I'm going to go somebody else. So maybe I've got like Bateman and blokes like that. I'm just going to trade somebody a little bit different for Matty Nicholson, because I do think that he is a slam dunk pick this week. So.
I think we're all in agreement there. Josh can take his win there, I think. And he's getting a win a week at the moment when we're talking about him.
It's so nice. It's so nice. Honestly, like, I could come 100K, but to hear people say Matt Nicholson's a must-have, my season's done. I've peaked. I cannot get any better than this.
All you need now is Kai O'Donnell to win the spot over John Bateman, and then your season's set, regardless of how you finish, I think. Guys, that is the winners for TLT. Let's have a chat about the people that weren't that good this week. We'll talk about the losers.
Yeah, this one's for the losers.
Casey McLean, unfortunately, he has been dropped. So we talked about Jenkins moving to centre. We talked about Alamotti onto the wing. And Wayne Mulligan saying, can Mattrix turn his hat around? It's taken the shine off Braino's win this week. Good shout, Wayne. Love it.
I'm coming out in the losers section, so.
Yes, yeah, Mattrix is at the end of the losers conversation here, and we will have the wig for Sunday wrap-up, that's for sure. But yeah, Casey McLean unfortunately been dropped. What are we doing with him, boys? Do you reckon it's probably clear now the direction they're trying to go with Jenkins, with Alamotti? Do you see a late switch? I honestly think that Alamotti could end up swapping with Jenkins. They just go centre to wing. I don't understand why they've gone opposite at the moment. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I don't know. Like, I love our WhatsApp chat, and everyone's like, oh, what are we doing with Jenkins? And I was like, I'm going to be honest. I've had absolutely no thoughts on him because I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, if he's named next, yeah, it does. It looks very strange, mustard custard. If we see him named next week, then, like, I've got an Asako that can be jumped off. I've got a Cobo who's starting to turn sour. Like, there's options to jump off, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm just gonna leave it and let it sit, let it simmer. Just turn the heat to low. Just keep a watchful eye over it, but whilst also doing other things. And then if it boils over next week, then we'll have to put the lid on and get him. But for me, it's like, yeah, I'm just keen to wait because I've got no idea what's going on with Penrith right now.
Yeah, and you can wait as well. I do like Paul Alamotti. I like what he's been doing so far, but I think I'll be waiting on anything to do with Tom Jenkins. And there's a couple of others I'll wait on as well. Cleary obviously out with the HIA this week. He'll be back next week. Mattrix, sorry, I cut you off. Do you have something to
I had
add?
Paul Alamotti in my team last year, and you guys made so much fun of me. Like, I tell you what, this is his coming out party.
I mean,
This is
he's
just
done well.
Mattrix did in the past.
If only SuperCoach played a year in advance or a year behind, you'd be
I'm
sorted.
a visionary.
You are, because you went Luke Metcalf real early. So
2023.
and unfortunately he's yet to do anything for us long time in SuperCoach, but that's okay. We'll still give you that win. Campbell Graham, he's out for 4 weeks with a calf injury, so there opens the door there for, obviously AJ coming back in, but we see Isaiah Tass move to centre for the Rabbitohs. Connor Watson's out with the HIA. Nat Butcher back in, we mentioned before. So I'm interested to see how they use him. I think he could be a nice little draft pickup. If he's sitting on your waivers in draft, you need to get Nat Butcher pretty quickly. So that's probably it for the Roosters, I guess. Keanu Keeney, unfortunately, out for the season or near on the season, 4 to 6 months with a neck injury. Looks like he's seeing a specialist. Am I right in saying he's seeing a specialist tomorrow, Josh, around that neck and whether he's going to need surgery? It looks pretty ordinary at the moment, doesn't it?
I think scans revealed he's probably going to need surgery, but the Titans are like, oh, just go get a 17th opinion just in case. But no, it doesn't sound great. Wheels up for the Groot, maybe.
Let's hope. I tell you who doesn't have wheels up. Fafita's still on the bench. He did play 50 minutes last week, though, so maybe we're starting to see a swing in the minutes there. But I'm just hoping that he drops more coin for us so we can pick him up on the cheap. Do we think he's going to play Origin? Mattrix, what are your thoughts there? Do you think he plays Origin for Queensland, or you reckon he's just completely out of favour? Does a new coach help? How does that all play out?
No, I think he might be a bit out of favour this year, I think.
Fifi.
With all due
It could be a nice little buy.
Brendan Peacora got picked over him and yeah.
No comment.
I'd pick him. I just don't know unless he starts come round 6 and he looks like the Udonis that he has been in the past. And even he looked great last year and he still didn't manage to get picked. I honestly have no idea how it's going to pan out, but there's so many proven second rowers in that Queensland team. He could actually be fantastic through the Origin period if he's not picked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jerome Hughes.
Sorry, go.
Let's go on for Fafita. We will be there.
Oh, yeah. That give me maybe 4 weeks, and we'll probably have both in our team. To be fair, maybe even next week or the week after. You never know. But Jerome Hughes is out for 2 weeks with a broken hand, so he'll miss this week and next week. Meaney will miss about 4 weeks at this stage, and Nelson Asofa Solomona is out with a HIA. So yeah, they're down on troops. The Storm. They are playing the Dragons, who have a couple of popular purchase options that we'll be talking about later on in the show. So stay tuned for that. But Taniela Paseka, unfortunately, out with an Achilles rupture. So that is his season done. And RTS, Mattrix's boy, you started with RTS, out for up to 8 weeks with a hammy, sadly. So, yeah, you got to move him out, don't you?
Yeah, and he was looking great. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't plan for injury. And yeah, he's just gone for that 6 weeks. But I tell you what, 550K or whatever he is a nice pivot point to bump up to a gun or downgrade and have some money to spend elsewhere. I'm not super disappointed when someone that mid-range. I hate when somebody's underpriced and they haven't, filled to the brim with their cash, gets injured or something like that. But RTS getting injured, it's a minor inconvenience, but it does let you let you just allow to get somebody really handy. So
it's just a trade you didn't plan on having to make this early. That's all. But again, the Wires have the bye next round, so a lot of people are going to be jumping off them anyway, for the most part. So yeah, could be worse timing. That's for sure. Same with Dylan Lucas coming into his injury off the bye. Definitely could be worse timing. That's for sure. But guys, that is the winners and losers from TLT. Let's have a chat about buy, hold, and sell. And buy, hold, and sell is brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead for those of you that are homeowners, or if you're looking to get into the market and purchase your first home, or if your rates are above 5.9%, then Ryan is your guy. He does all the heavy lifting. He has over 40 lenders on panel, including the major banks, to get you the best deal, to lower your rate, and of course, put money back in your pocket. The best part is he will meet with you in no obligation at all. It doesn't cost you a cent. So you can book your free consult with Ryan via the link in the description below. Just let him know that Insight sent you. Boys, let's have a chat about the trade targets ahead of round 4.
Target acquired.
Mattrix, talk to us about your buy first, mate. Kick us off.
It's Tino. It's always been Tino. Much like a Sunsilk ad. It's just looked so great. It flows well. I tell you what, it shines at the right points.
And that's just his hair, right?
Yeah, exactly. When he runs in the wind. I mean, like, we'll never see Tino at this price, I don't think, ever again. So yeah, it was right at the start of the year. We were all scared off, of course, with that early buy. And I think that he's been penciled in for this week for so many reasons. I don't think this could have went any better for non-owners. Of course, it was great if you've been an owner and you just missed out on the 1 week. But guys, like, there's no reason not to get big Tino in.
People went early last week. If you did, great. You save yourself a trade, and it's a really good week to have that extra trade up your sleeve because there's a lot of money to make. But would you call Tino a must-have? I guess that's the question, because a lot of people are asking us in the WhatsApp, do I need to get him this week? Is he a guy that I absolutely need to get and sacrifice elsewhere?
No, I don't think he's a must-have. I think he's a very, very, very good buy. I think he's as close to a must-have without being a must-have. But no, like, if people send us their trades and Tino's not there, we're not saying, oh, like, why is Tino not there? Like, it's a guy that's like, he's very nice to have. He's a great upgrade on a Preston. He's a great upgrade on a Seyfarth. He's a great upgrade on a Gilbert. But he's not a guy where you're ripping it up for. And yeah, IJ just wants to know, Matty, did you forget to captain last week with a 908? Is that your fantasy score?
Shout out to the standard squeeze, keeping him going this week after the 908. But little jab from IJ, but he's paid $3 for it, Mattrix, so it's okay. It's acceptable.
He deserves it. I mean, like, I did do Ponga. Honestly, like, if we're talking about my team, I'd like Sandon Smith and basically everybody who scored under 20 in my team. So that's great.
Very good. Very good. Anything to add on Tino? Sorry, Josh, we cut you off.
No, I just, think he's a very good player. Probably will be in my trade plans. Not going to call him a must-have. I genuinely think there's only one must-have this week.
We'll segue into your trade then, because that's probably the best play.
Yeah, it's our Lord and Savior. It's Gareth Ellis 2.0. It's Matthew Nicholson. I don't know his middle name. I should have Googled that. I should have given him the full government name. But it's Matty Nicholson. Minus 42 break even, 335k, 45 to 50 BP, rolls on lockdown. Kid's a stud. Glad you're all seeing it. Like, he's just him. Like, he's just Himothy. Like, I don't really know what more. Like, we have an 80-minute back row for 335k who is putting up 50 points, who has attacking upside, who is one of the best young line runners I think I've seen. Like, he's just a slam dunk. And like I said this on last night's podcast, people are sitting there like frothing over Tuipulotu's break even, frothing over Gutho's break even. Gutho's 300k more than him, 350k more than him. Tuipulotu's 200k more than him, and the break evens are within 10 points. Matthew James Nicholson.
It's not. That's Matthew Nicholson, the cricket player, because I just looked up the same thing. Yeah.
I don't care. Peter, Paul, John, Michael, Anthony. He can be all of them. He can be whatever he wants.
Yeah, so I'm looking it up right now. There is no middle name for Matthew Nicholson from Halifax, West Yorkshire, England. So
Matthew Whisperer Nicholson. I'm going to adopt the middle name. Matthew Whisperer Nicholson must have of the week. And the only must have. I genuinely believe he's the only must have. I think you can make cases for Gutho. You can make cases for Tuipulotu. You can make cases for Tino. But I think with a 335k 2RF, with as much upside as he's got and a very, very good floor with the break even that he's got,
Sorry, go.
With Matty, with something like this, like with Josh's opinion of only having the one must-have this week. I see so many people boosting. What's your thoughts around boosting? Like we're going to hit you with 3 buys, but boosting this week. What's your opinion?
Yes.
What happened the last time one of us very, very publicly went on a boost for a Raiders back rower campaign? It ended pretty good. It ended with a man averaging about 85 for the rest of the season. So worked okay. So I'm gonna back that in again. Boost for Nicholson in full effect.
Yeah, so this might go viral again, like the boost for Elliott back in the day. Which I wouldn't be upset because it's a player that's coming into my team and he should be coming into most at 330k with a break even of negative 40 odd. But another guy who has a negative 50 odd break even is Clint Gutherson. And look, people have been tossing up, do we go with Pappy? Do we go with Gutho? I guess the news around Pappenhausen not goal kicking or handing the goal kicking over kind of puts a damper on the buy of Ryan Pappenhausen this week, especially with the lingering ankle issue. In saying that, though, we're buying a guy in Clint Gutherson who also has knee problems and pretty chronic knee issues over his career, especially over the last 5 years. Now, there's definitely, I wouldn't call it a slam dunk. I wouldn't call Clint Gutherson a must-have. But when you look at what we're going to get from him this week, now, the people are looking at the Storm matchup and going, yeah, it's not great. And on the surface, it's not. But they've allowed an 80-point average to fullbacks in the 2 games they've played this year. So, look, it's not as bad as it looks. And I think with Clint Gutherson, he is the main playmaker on this team. It's definitely not Kyle Flanagan. It's definitely not Lachlan Ilias. It is Clint Gutherson that controls the attack of this team. We see him pretty much doing everything. He has his hands on the ball. It reminds me of Para when Moses is out and Brown plays second fiddle to Gutho. And for me, I think when you look at minus 50-odd break even, you're going to make how much money when he steps on the field? Like at least probably... What are we looking at there? 30k?
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
So
yeah, just for surviving the 60-minute cut.
Pretty much. And then we look at the next 2 matches after this versus the Eels, which is going to be a fucking banger. And I want to own Gutho against his old team next week. That'll be good viewing. Into the Titans the week after. And I'll tell you what, like those 2 matches are very juicy for Gutho. I think that he can go large in both of those matches. Even if he is a little bit quieter this week, I think Gutho against Parra into the Eels are 2 matchups I want to have him for. And then, boys, the options open up for us. Latrell will be back. Teddy will probably be bottoming out. There's a lot to love about a few different fullback options we can pivot to there if we don't love it. But he does come into Manly versus the Roosters, then a nice little run of the Tigers, Warriors, Broncos into the bye in round 12 into the Origin period. So, like, I'm not opposed to holding him the whole way, but it gives you options because there's every chance he could be 800k in 2 weeks. And we're looking at moving him to anybody for a profit. So Gutho's my buy. Not a must-have by any means, but definitely a nice-to-have, I'll call it, which probably leads us into the holds for this week. Whisperer, kick us off.
Yeah, holds. Mine pretty simple. I don't understand people's trades at the best of times, but I really don't understand selling Nathan Cleary. Like I can't see any argument from any reason you sell him as if Duffy is still your halfback 2. But even still, I would rather just play 17 this week. And Matty's discussed this. Like, you cannot convince me to sell Nathan Cleary. I've got no argument. I just think it's dumb. And that's just my opinionated opinion. You'll always get that from me, but I just cannot understand it.
Matty, you floated the idea of just playing a straight 17 with no halfback. Are you still going down that road?
Yeah. I can't get Duffy to anyone I want. And I do think Matty Nicholson's must-have. I actually think Tino's must-have. And I'm doing another trade to fund some of this stuff. Is it the end of the world? Like, how many years have we played SuperCoach just picking 17? Yeah, we've got a flex now. I'm just gonna back the pedigree of my high-scoring 908 score team, and go for it. So yeah, maybe it's risky, but also I'm not going to waste 2 trades just to trade Nathan Cleary out, only to want him, because next week the Panthers have a awesome matchup. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Panthers are playing some team that's really shit at football next week. They're playing the Cowboys next week. So yeah. Shout out to my
Probably the
northern
worst team
brethren.
of football. You said they play a shit team of football. Probably the worst team of football.
Yeah. So if he's right next week, and then the Dolphins the week after. So I tell you what, two absolute aspiring Broncos wannabe teams.
What a hate watch for Mattrix over the next fortnight.
I'm gonna own Cleary. I'm actually buying a Panthers jersey for the next 2 weeks.
Not ideal, but I think it's fucking cracked that people are moving Cleary on, and I know that there's an appeal there to go to one other Broncos halfback, and which I think is just insanity. But we'll talk and give you our opinion on Adam Reynolds' purchase a little bit later. But my hold for this week is Reece Walsh, and Josh, from memory, you had a hold on Reece Walsh last week. So Mattrix, it's your turn next week to say hold Reece Walsh, but it's my turn this week. They come up against the Dolphins at Suncorp. They've got the Tigers at Suncorp the week after. They've got the Roosters, who are very hit and miss at Suncorp the week after that. They've got a dream schedule. They only have to travel against New Zealand, who have been poor. And then they go back to Suncorp for Bulldogs into Panthers. And then they've got Souths into St. George. For me, you can hold Reece Walsh all of these matchups. And we're looking, and I think we're probably also basing our feelings on Reece Walsh off this 9 that he got against the Raiders at GIO in round 2. Which, fair enough, I get it. When a player goes that low and he's priced where he is, it's hard to judge him and go, yeah, he's worth that money. But again, we're looking at 95 in round 1. We got a 55 in round 2 where it looked like he really struggled against the Cowboys, didn't it? So for me, a 55 when a player looks shit house like Reece Walsh did and he looked like he did too much, I think he can turn that around very quickly against the Dolphins into the Tigers. I think we could be looking at back-to-back 100 scores, if I'm honest. So for me, I think you're crazy to sell Reece Walsh. Josh, what are your thoughts on Reece Walsh to Gutho, Reece Walsh to Pappy? They seem to be the two go-to options for people.
I'm tempted to buy Reece Walsh. Hopefully that answers your question. I just think it's absolutely absurd to say, not absurd. He's less absurd than Cleary. I should not talk before thinking. I just have no interest in selling Reece Walsh. Like you said, he played terrible and got 55. People that, I guess, if you're new to SuperCoach, yeah, this may be a shock. But if you're a seasoned SuperCoacher, this is what you sign up for. When you go, yeah, I'm going to buy Reece Walsh, you know that you're not getting the sexiest points. It's going to be 15 in the 65th minute and it'll end on 90. Or it could be 15 in the 65th minute and he has 6 errors and he ends up on 5. That's just Reece Walsh.
Sadly, that's what unfortunately, that's what it is. It's like when you get on, what's that really tall, that high roller coaster at Dreamworld? You know, the one where it's like the drop from all the way up the top?
More chili.
Giant drop?
More chili? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Findo?
Yeah. I was going to say, always pick Findo when you get a feature on More Chili. But it is like the giant drop at Dreamworld, honestly. You know what you're going to get. You know you're going to get your 100, 110, and you're going to finish the week and go, fuck yeah, how good is Reece Walsh? He's the best. And then the next week he's going to get you 9 against Canberra at GIO, and you're going to go, I need to trade this guy out. And he's the first guy you want to rage trade at the end of the week. But I don't know. I feel like people are trading him out at the wrong time. I feel like he can really hurt you in the next month. So Dolphins, Tigers, Roosters, New Zealand.
Didn't you have some pretty good stats on fullbacks against the Finns?
Yes, so it is an 88 average in this year. And that we're talking about guys like Jai Gray and Jareem Buller. No offense to either of them, but they're not what we would consider to be top 4 fullbacks in the league, right? So sorry, I shouldn't slander Jareem Buller like that as a Tigers fan.
I was going to say, settle down.
Sorry. Anyway, we're talking about Jareem Buller and 2 other fullbacks in the league that probably aren't top 4. Kalen Ponga got 129. But in saying that, not one player has scored a try against the Dolphins this year, and they average 88 at fullback this year. So I guess, the message becomes if Reece Walsh scores a try, there's going to be points galore. I think we can expect that without it.
Take this with a grain of salt, but bookmakers are in business for a reason because they're profitable. I think Reece Walsh is $1.30 anytime try score this week.
Yeah, that indicates just how odds on he is to actually get over the line this week. So,
but Reece Walsh, he had -14 in points, and like the way that he plays, and you see him pass it and it goes into row 3. Like if that hits Jesse Arthurs, then he was in by streets and everything like that. Like Reece Walsh is super exciting, and yeah, that 95 is going to drop out, but 55 when he played as bad as what he is, like there's not too many guys that you think on his night could just stroll through and score 140, and Reece Walsh is one of those guys, playing downhill against the Dolphins and hopefully playing downhill against the Tigers. So
is there any player in the NRL though that, like, how we look at form and we take that into perspective, like Turbo, he's out of form, Teddy's out of form, Trell's out of form. I don't care. Reece Walsh could score 5 scores of 10 and below, and I still think he will still shoot his shot. He just struts around like it doesn't matter. And I'm not worried about him like going to his shell. I still think he'll throw 7 cutout balls over 4 defenders and just hope for the best. That's just who he is. And that's why we love him.
And like when he scores 150, I want to take off my shirt and paint my toenails. Like I get it. I want to be him.
Okay. He had -24 in negative stats over the last 2 weeks, which tells you that he's not afraid. He's gone -10 against the Raiders when he got 9, and he come out and went with fucking. He goes, "Fuck it, I'm going to throw more cutouts and I'm going to throw more balls into the fucking into the stands." So, yeah, I agree. He's not afraid. He's not going to come out and die wondering. That's for sure.
Reece Walsh gives me like degenerate gambler tendencies. Like if you're down, like the bet is like don't chase your losses. No, Reece will like, he's like, fuck, I had 3 errors last week. Fuck it. We're going to try 6. And then next week, we're going to try 12 because it'll eventually turn around. And that's what I love.
That's it. Definitely a bloke to throw a pineapple in after he's already lost 1,000. So back in Reece Walsh this week. Guys,
more chili.
Findo for sure. Mattrix, who's your hold for the week? And it feels like we're just rotating holds this week because we had to have the same conversation last week on Harry Grant.
It still has a. Like, he's averaging. He's got 129 break even. He's averaging 43. He's coming off at 26. But he's still Harry. Like, he's a wizard. Like, I do think that he is the only hooker that has the upside to cover this 129 break even. So coming up against St. George, I think maybe that could be a little bit more of a matchup. Maybe he just doesn't try to fake for penalties the whole time. Maybe he plays some footy this week. And that's something that I want from Harry.
I'll tell you what, and Jake Lindsay in the chat saying Dragons matchup looks juicy for Harry. Look, it kind of does. I think obviously and you mentioned last week, Josh, the script of the game didn't fit Harry's game, really, did it? Like there was a lot of spreading the ball wide quickly, trying to get it to the edges. And he didn't have to do all those darts and those runs from dummy half and work over the ruck. I think he's got in the habit of trying to manipulate the ruck to try and get penalties, and he didn't need to do that in these games. He just needs to get the ball wide of the ruck. This could be a one up the middle.
Yeah, like, and I like it's all like we'll sit here and we will fucking strut our stuff when we're right. Don't get that mistaken. We are probably 3 of the biggest fucking shit talkers when we're right, but we'll put our hands up when we're wrong. It's probably poor analysis by me in hindsight to look at the Storm's first 2 games and be like, oh, you know what? Probably wasn't the best time to start with Harry Grant. Eels suck. They're just going to fucking hammer them. And Penrith are one of the best teams at slowing the ruck down. I'll tell you what, though. Bad fucking time to be fucking David Clemmer and a gas Dylan Egan in about the 60th minute when you won off the ruck.
I was going to say, David Clemmer, is he coming on in the 52nd minute? Because there's every chance he probably could be gassed by the 60th then when he's coming on off the bench.
So, it's going to be a bad time when Eli Gatoa's just got to quick play the ball and you're one off the ruck and you're looking for a breather.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Dummy and go. Harry Grant to score anytime try scorer this week, I reckon. There's a shout there. I wonder what he's paying.
No, this screams of an Alec McDonald double.
Fuck. Yeah, okay. Into David Clemmer anytime.
To me.
Yep, absolutely.
Josh,
but yeah,
throw you 50
Alex McDonald, Trent Liero, same game multi.
Yes. So now we're talking. That's got to be paying about $75, surely. Guys, let's move on to the sells for round 4. I'll kick things off for the Cells as Jack Gashevsky, and it's probably people thinking, well, what do you mean his name to start? And I just think we're starting to see the writing on the wall with Madge's preference there. He played max minutes in the first game. His minutes come back to 50 in the 49 in the second, back down to 30 in the third. Are we just giving Brennan Piakura, sending him a little bit of a message here that he needs to up his game? I think there's every chance we might even see a late switch 24-hour cuts where we see Piakura come and start for Goz. If it's not this week, it could be next week, but I think we're starting to see the minutes trend in the wrong direction for Goz. And I think the last thing that you want for a guy that was 233K is to start losing money and coming back to that point. You've made 60K from him. I think it's time for us to cut and run on the Goz, sadly, and I'll be doing that this week. Boys, anything to add on Jack Goz?
Yeah, ask him for a friend, Bay Malga or Goss, because they both suck and I might have both.
Goss.
I mean, look, Goz out because Vomalga, is he 198K yet?
He's 217.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think you can lose more from Goz than you can from Vomalga. So, yeah, I'd probably just move Goz on, to be honest.
But also, one of them has just had a potential big uptick in minutes as well. So, and that's not Goss. I think selling Goss this week is much easier. Selling Goss this week is much easier to stomach if you started with him, rather than if you bought him in like round 1 or 2. Because it's 2 trades you've used, whereas if you trade him out, it's 1 trade for 60K. So, still think he's a trader if you bought him in, unfortunately. I'll tell you what, bad week if you brought in Keeney in round 2 and Goss in round 2.
And Lucas, maybe if you missed him round 1. We're in all sorts. And I mean, that's a good segue into your sell, Josh, because it's a pretty obvious one. He's out for 6 weeks, sadly.
Yes, as friend of the show, Jake Lindsay is alluding to, Dylan Lucas, unfortunately. Look, if this was 3 weeks, I think we could have this debate because we're like, he missed last week, he misses the bye, he misses one more. Let's just hold him. But 6 weeks is probably the worst. It's second worst RTS is up to 8 weeks. So I think just for the cash, he's on the bubble too. Like you can bring him back in when he's named. He's still a stud, but he's a guy that's just too much cash sitting on the pine. Unfortunately, it's pretty clear cut sell. There's no analytics here. It's just he's injured for 6 weeks and he's a lot of money.
Speaking of injured, Mattrix.
Dick's out for RTS. Like I tell you what, you don't get SuperCoach points for ruining your hammy, chasing, saving a try, and ruining it some more. I mean, like RTS, disappointing. 8 weeks. Look. Physio saying maybe 5 or 6, but it's still just not a hold. He's been great. You got that 76, and I will honestly look at getting him back when he's due back. Give me a week or 2, but 550K, much like Dylan Lucas, is a really nice price to get up to someone. And like what you said, Braino, with Gashevsky, it's great to just get to Matty Nicholson this week. If you wait a week or 2 on Goss, then you're going to find it really hard to get anybody of value. And there's lots of guys around 550K and 600K that you can get for RTS and Dylan Lucas. So it's not the worst thing in the world. You just have to burn a trade this week.
And the fact that you can go Goss up to Matty Nicholson for 40K is just insanity. Like the swing in cash is monstrous. So I think if you haven't thought about doing that, I would be. Absolutely. Let's move on to the watch list, guys, and players that we'll be keeping an eye out on in round 4.
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
Now, I don't blame people for going early on this one, and that's Jaden Campbell. Now, I'm going to be watching, personally. He does have a break-even of 57. He does play the Roosters, who we don't know which Roosters team are going to turn up, but we're starting to see some of these injury-riddled guys from the Roosters come back. So I think they're gradually going to get better and better as the weeks go on. But Jaden Campbell just looks like he's in full control of this Titans attack. I'm very high on him. I don't mind people going early on him this week if you're not set on Pappy now and you have question marks around Gutho and his body. Jaden Campbell, I tell you what, goal kicking, Titans 7. His role is cemented. You could do it much worse. 700K is a pretty penny to spend, but I think, honestly, he's going to exceed that this year, Mattrix. What are your thoughts on Jaden Campbell?
Well, yeah, and like what you said, like flex allows you to get in somebody like this if you're stacked in there, if you can find a way to hold Cleary. This seems to be JC's team, and especially with Keeney out, I think that he's just going to be asked to do more and more. I hope he's not overloaded, but Brimson still attracts enough attention to allow JC to run his game. And I honestly didn't think that I would see Jaden be the half that he is. And I've been really impressed in my first 2 games. Look, the eye test gets the big tick. If you go him this week, I am definitely not going to fight you on it. But I'm going to be watching and maybe, burning a trade next week. Hopefully getting somebody after they rise in cash out and JC in.
And Josh, it's all about Metcalf to JC next week, isn't it? The Warriors buy coincides perfectly with Campbell's break even probably, or his price maybe even bottoming out after that 1 week with that 100 plus in his score and his rolling average. The plan next week to go Metcalf to JC, or at least try and get JC in?
Yeah, I think so. I'd love to get. I was keen to jump this week if you had to. Now with this Keeney news, I'm probably just a little bit more reserved and it's like, let's just see, because if teams are planning, hey, let's just let the group beat us. If the Titans are going to win, let's just let him beat us, not JC or Brimo. So I'd love to give it one more look. I guess this segues perfectly onto Thomas Jenkins as well. Like if he's named next week, you can easily go in a Sarko or this is me. I don't know what other people have. A Sarko Cobo for me down to a Jenkins, and then a Metcalf up to a JC. Like that seems pretty hot, especially if I've got 200k in my bank and I'm looking at 890k fullback potentially this week. So that will take a lot of that. So if I do go that route, then Thomas Jenkins is a guy, like they've just re-signed him, big raps on him. He came out this week and said he learned a lot from his time away from the club as well. And Ivan basically said, look, you've got to go. And then Ivan said, we want you back in that time that he spent away. So yeah, it seems they rate him highly. It's so weird. Like we've never seen him at center. Now all of a sudden he's lining up there, and you've got so many options at Penrith. So it's tough to take the jump, but with the score in round 1, if he's playing at center for Penrith, it's hard to turn him down next week.
100%. I agree. We spoke Jalen de Groot. I think he's definitely a watch. We just want to see what's going on there with that Titans back, the back 5, I guess. I'm not. Sorry, go.
Yeah, sorry, just going to say worth noting, probably more of a fantasy buy rather than a SuperCoach buy. Just with Kieran Foran back in training in about a month's time, so probably give him maybe a week or 2 to get up to speed, and then he's probably back in the fold. And I don't know though. Like it's in saying that, like the reports were this preseason that Foran was going to play 14, and it was always going to be Brimson and Campbell at 6 and 7. But maybe like, what's a better spine? Is it Keeney, Brimson, Campbell, or is it Foran, Campbell, Brimson at the back, or is it still de Groot? You've also got Thomas Weaver there as well. Like Thomas Weaver's an option to potentially play in the halves with Brimo at the back, but maybe Brimo's days at fullback are numbered. Who knows? But it's probably more of a fantasy purchase, considering you do have that week on week price changes rather than the 3 weeks. Because if we have to wait 3 weeks for him to get a price rise and Foran's back in 5, you're to get 2 price rises out of him.
Yeah, I'm honestly leaning towards them because Weaver's on the extended bench this week. I think there's every chance Weaver could come in. AJ goes to the back. And obviously that's a bit stiff on De Groot, but I don't know whether they're going to, like, it's so early in the season to just pull up stumps and go, yeah, we're just going to play a rookie up the back for the rest of the season. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Matty, on this? Because this is really doing my head in.
Tom Weaver's not really a seasoned veteran. And he's not fantastic. He'll just come out. No, I think that he'll get a job done. I like AJ at the back. I just think that they rate Groot over Weaver, and I think that they will try this first. But mark my words, if they lose 2 games in a row, they will. Like, Des done this in the past. They'll move AJ to the back. They'll try Tom Weaver, and they'll just see what happens. But look, I actually don't think De Groot's that good. I don't really rate Weaver that much either. Like, I watched De Groot in the flesh in the preseason, and I thought, look, he's gonna want to prove himself. He's kind of been one of those fringe guys. Just didn't really impress me. I think Hayes Perham looks really better than him, which might be a bit of a slap in the face. So in the game,
someone reminded me. I think someone that with a better memory than me, didn't De Groot have like a ripper preseason last year? Like, I think he had like an unreal preseason last year. We were all talking about him, but yeah, like it's not a priority guy for me. But it's like, if Jenkins fails and De Groot's named next week, then sure, why not? Like,
I'll
maybe.
buy a fullback at 230k in your centre wing, regardless of what they do.
Yeah, and the beauty is he's centre wing only. So, like,
Yeah.
he's not a fullback only, and you're going to get stuck with him. You have to make a decision. Do I do a Yongi to him? Alan Fitzgibbon, IJ's mentioned, is also a
IJ
smoky.
says, like we've got preseason hero Alan Fitzgibbon there as well in the mix. We talk about cheap centre wings. We talk about cheap centre wing boys, and Braden Burns being out for I think it's up to 6 weeks does see the opportunity for PNG superstar Robert Derby in the fold, preseason hero from about December when the team picker opened, and that lasted all of 2.5 weeks. But
That's a good week.
Yeah, it was fun times when we had Robert Derby centre wing 4. Fun times. But we do see him on his second game. So he was actually on the bubble next week. So he's worth a shot. I want to see him get some time, but the problem is like he's fighting with Burns because Murray Talangi is not getting dropped. So it's not the worst shout, but how many trades are we going in and out, especially if you're buying Gutho, especially if you're planning on Gutho to Trell or Gutho to Teddy in 3 or 4 weeks' time, then it's like we're just ripping through trades at this point.
Yeah, and look, if De Groot holds his spot, I'll probably prioritise him. If Jenkins holds his spot, I'll probably prioritise him over Darby. But, I mean, he had 36 in pure base in his first game this year. And I think that right wing, even though the Cowboys are poor, they're obviously a preferred right wing structure. And I think that that's going to continue. I think Darby's going to have plenty of opportunity there. If they somehow get any better, he's a chance of scoring some points on the right wing. So, yeah, look, definitely a guy you shouldn't look at with the base like that. Because he will find some points eventually. But, guys, let's play a very quick game before we move on to captaincy, which is a hot topic this week. We're going to play rapid fire buy. And so we're going to go with the old thumbs up, thumbs down option. Thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no. So I'm going to mention 6 players here that are in the top 10 most purchased players this week, and I want to get your opinions on it. So Ryan Pappenhausen.
Sorry. Can we please get next... Big wrestling fan here. Can we get the 2005 clip of Batista when he's signing the WrestleMania contract and he's like, he does the thumbs down and he turns to a thumb up? We got to get that happening for next week.
Yeah, I love that, actually. We'll turn it into a stinger somehow next week. Okay, rapid fire buy. Let's go. Ryan Pappenhausen, buy or sell, or yes or no, up or down? Okay, so we've all said...
He's the highest scoring Storm player.
Well, to be fair, Grant sucks and Hughes is dead, so it's a 50-50 shot now.
I told you.
Yeah, it is. Mattrix predict these injuries, so he knows ball. Christian Tuipulotu, yes or no?
I think.
All right, so Mattrix has gone yes. Mattrix has gone yes. Josh and I have gone no for the audio listeners. Talk to us. Why are you keen? Because for me, I'm not keen because I think the tries are going to dry up. And we looked at the base, and the base is like 29 per game. So there's going to come a time where teams work out the Dragons. Teams jam Gutho.
Josh talked me into it. He said that he is like a 200k more expensive Jesse Arthurs. And if he's that fucking good, like we need him in our teams. Look, caveat, I don't have him in my team. I just think with his negative break even that you can still get him. I think that there is a world where he still does have another couple ripper games and he does hit that late 600s in the cash grab. Say he scores 50 this week. He's still going to make a fair lot of money. Even if he scores 29 this week, he's still going to make a fair bit of money with that negative 50 odd break even. I still think he's just a good buy. Do I think you're going to be holding him in round 11? No, but he's a good buy this week.
All right.
Josh?
I will caveat that I think he is a fine purchase if you have Tino already. But if you don't, I think Nicholson's a much more priority. I think Nicholson and Tino are much more priorities. I'm just having a look at a certain centre wing that I want to price. Okay, he's at 140 more. I was looking at Kale Ero. I was like, I'd rather him, but he's nearly 700k, which is a lot of coin.
Yeah.
Sure. Jump on. I don't think I can jump on Gutho and Tuipulotu. I think you've got to pick one of them. And I don't think Tuipulotu's a buy if you don't have Tino.
Fair. I'd probably lean to agree. I just think the tries are going to dry up. I think the teams are going to work the Dragons out. And do I think that's going to be now? He's going to make 100k minimum, and that's fine. And if that's what you want, not a problem. But I think you're going to need to make a decision then to trade him out at the top because he will leak cash at some point, and it'll be pretty quick with the scores that he's racked up because his base isn't there.
Hey guys, hold your hands like this. Hold your hands like this. and let me know if it's thumbs up and thumbs down on this question. Is Tuipulotu and Gutho just Jesse Arthurs and Reece Walsh with no aura? Yes.
We're good. We're good. Speaking of, actually, no, there's a bit of aura with this next guy. Adam Reynolds is a very, very popular
sorry,
purchase.
hang on. Gutho with no hair is kind of aura-y. With the goatee?
No.
Nah.
It's like
It's
weird
like-
uncle
actually, no.
vibes.
You know, the only aura that comes from Gutho with no hair and a goatee is like Breaking Bad Heisenberg's style. That's probably the only thing he brings to the table.
Weird uncle vibes.
We have
Yeah.
300 viewers. We have 300 viewers right now. I need to know Gutho with no hair and the goatee, aura or no aura, before we answer next. Like whilst we answer the next question.
Is it like weird uncle or cooking meth in an RV style vibes?
It's like- I think it's like Jason Statham.
Still no aura.
Badass vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
he's no.
Jake Lindsay, Stone Cold Steve Gutherson, 100%.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair play. I'll give you that. Adam Reynolds, boys, yes or no on the buy?
Wow.
Sorry, Reno.
That's fair
Love
with a
you.
I just 51, 60, 60, 58. You know what? I don't know. Like, I'm just. The problem is it's Cleary. In the back of our head, we're not going fucking Lachlan Ilias to Adam Reynolds. We're doing Cleary to Adam Reynolds, sadly. So that puts a damper on the way I feel about the trade. And I just feel like he's not going to average 98 for the season. People are kind of expecting this like Nico Hines style Adam Reynolds.
The only scenario that I buy Adam Reynolds is if I have 400k spare up my ass and I just sell Tom Duffy to him. That's the only reason I do it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's a great trade, but who has 400k just hanging there? Like, it's not in your fixed term account that you've been getting interest in
Fair.
since 2016.
I saw some random on Twitter today had 760k in the bank, and then someone said why, and he's like, for upgrades. And I was like, fair point.
It's not going to use it for downgrades, that's for sure. Actually, there's a good one here from Magic 8 Ball. Gutho has more of a Jesse Pinkman vibe.
Gutho at Parramatta, yes, because like Moses was the Heisenberg, but now
that's
he is
true.
like he is the leader. He is the Gustavo Fring.
Dylan Brown's the Wendy. So let's move on. Jamie Humphries, yes or no? 6,500 people think yes. What do we think? I don't know. I've heard you spruik Jamie Humphries, Mattrix.
I like him. Trust me, I was looking for somebody to upgrade young Thomas Duffy to. And do you want to know what I realized? I could just like not use my flex this week and just play 17. Which is better than paying up for Jamie Humphries. I've just like AJ's coming into the team. Latrell's hopefully coming back into the team next week. There's going to be so many more question marks. There's not going to be like, oh, speaking of aura, Jamie Humphries. Like, could I just get a Jamie Humphries haircut, you reckon? But
I reckon you could. You get away with it. You got the length.
yeah.
Got the
Yeah,
body.
And your hair's long as well.
Yeah, I'm looking thick too. But
I've
yeah,
seen
no, Jamie.
I've seen photos of Jamie Humphries at Coogee Beach that look very similar to Mattrix at the Toowoomba Dam.
Yeah, that's fair. I
Can't
get that.
argue with that.
I get that. No, like I like Jamie Humphries. I think he's the only person that you can maybe go Thomas Duffy to at halfback. But yeah, it's just
I'd rather just
play
Memez Ellis,
17.
wouldn't you? Wouldn't you rather just Memez Ellis?
I'd probably just rather pay up for Starling because I don't have him either. But yeah, I think Mamazellis' role stays the same when Latrell and AJ come back in. Is the point? Yeah.
Fair call. Last one, Nico Hines, yes or no? I don't even know how to feel. Can I do this?
No, I'm so not keen. Like, and I'm the only one that owns him out of all three of you. And it's so funny because everyone in the WhatsApp's like, "Oh, Whisperer's just trying to gatekeep Nico." And I'm like, no, I'm trying to save you from just the mental anguish that is owning a 750k 5'8" that gets 2 touches a set. Like that's what it is. Like,
From what we compare him to and what we know him to be at his peak, that's the challenge for us. Is we know that he can be so much more, but Braden Trindle there is just a cock blocker of super coaches, really. But in saying that, 113 last week. Look, I wouldn't be complaining if Nico averaged 80 for me for the season and I owned I just think it's going to be peaks and troughs. It's going to be I wouldn't say there's a Reece Walsh experience coming to you, but I think you're going to get your 50s and you're going to get your 90s and 100s plus, and you're just going to have to ride that wave when he gets your 50 and not get too shitty about it. So
the problem with him now is, though, when he gets the 50s, there's not the 150 to get that average back to 100. It's going to be a couple of weeks of 90s to bump it up. Like it's the ceiling's no longer there, in my opinion. In saying that, though, things go differently. Last week he gets 140, 150. So maybe it's a rare occasion when he plays just some bottom feeders, which we know Nico. And I've seen some criticism on that. People are like, oh, he just beats up on the shit teams. And we're like, yes.
That's why we buy him.
That's the entire point.
It's fucking A.
No, he's like, oh, he only does this against bad teams. I'm like, oh, yes, because everyone does well against Penrith. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, you buy him against bad teams because that's exactly what you're looking at. You're looking at the draw going, oh, he's got a nice little run coming up of playing shitters.
No one looks at a run of the Storm, Penrith into like the Broncos at Suncorp and be like, oh, yes, I'm going to buy an 800k asset for that.
Can't wait to buy Adam Reynolds against Penrith. Guys, let's talk about rapid fire sell. We'll make it rapid fire this time instead of talk about everyone. Nathan Cleary, yes or no? Are we selling? Are we selling or are we buying? Are we selling or are we not selling? I'm not selling. No fucking way in the world. We've made that clear. Jerome Luai.
Ho.
We selling? I'm selling Jerome Luai.
I already have.
Good move. Callum Ponga. Hold or sell?
Oh.
Yep, we're all holding. Kobe Hetherington somehow is in this list in the top 10 most sold. Feel free to move him on. That's fine.
Do I?
I don't care.
No.
All right, here's an interesting one. Isaiah Iongi. 3,440 people are selling.
I'm buying him.
I can get around it depending on who you're getting.
Only to like two fullbacks. Everyone else, no.
Will Kennedy
happy?
and...
No, I was more Connor Tracy and the group.
So
no,
you
can't even
dare
do
diss Connor Tracy.
No, sorry. It's Tyrell Sloan and
Hayes Perham.
Will Kennedy.
Yeah. No,
Will Kennedy made it into every iteration of us taking the piss then, by the way.
No, to be fair, Will Kennedy's actually been, okay, this will be a hot take. Will Kennedy's been a top 5 fullback from an NRL standpoint this season.
He has been very good.
NRL standpoint.
Very good.
Top 5. Like, there's 17 teams.
Yes, he's been exceptional in defense. Like he's saved like 4 or 5 tries. He's been unreal this season. Shout out to Will Kennedy.
Yeah. Before after we slandered the shit out of you from a Supercoach perspective.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, 100%. Boys, we've got something we don't often talk about, but it's very, very relevant this week, so we probably should.
And now here's Ollie Williams with the weather forecast. Ollie?
It's gonna rain.
Thanks, Ollie.
It is absolutely going to rain. And how does that affect your view on this week? Because for me, I look at outside backs and I'm like, oof, how confident do I feel with, we'll talk captaincy in a second, with the captains from the outside backs, with your Walshes, with the guys with the really nice matchups, the Teddies, the Pappenhausens. Because for me, there's, I think, up to 60 mil of rain predicted in Sydney on Sunday. And I think up to 20 mil of rain on Saturday. So there's a lot of rain around, not just a little trickle. There's enough. How do we feel about
Friday
it?
look like? Just asking for a potential buy
Up
of
to 10
mine
mil.
this week. Ooh, okay, that's fine. That's okay.
It's just a bit slippery.
Is there a roof at Allianz Stadium? Just also asking for a friend.
For a friend.
Sadly, no.
Your friend Jack.
Friend SC Dispera. Yeah, him.
Yes. No. I think it could be the week of the props and the big boys in the middle, I reckon, for captaincy. We'll talk about that soon.
Are you telling me Payne Haas VC, Terrell Macy?
I'll tell you what, Tino might even feature somewhere. But yes, maybe.
You're still not captaining Payne Haas over Walsh because you are all degenerates.
No, trust me. I reckon I'm all aboard the big boys.
Captaining a prop. Honestly, I'll delete my account before I vice captain a prop. I'll captain Payne Haas. I'm never fucking vice captaining him.
Thankfully, this isn't a fantasy or a dream team podcast because I will absolutely vice captain a prop in those formats.
I captained him. Did we all captain Payne Haas last week in fantasy?
Don't rub it in.
Yes.
Fuck you.
Yes.
Let's move on to captaincy.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
All right, games that stand out for captaincy this week, and of course, it's brought to you by the Patreon. If you want to become a Patreon member, get access to the Q&As, the buy, hold, sell, the captaincy articles, the wrap-ups for the week, as well as our awesome WhatsApp with our great community. You can do that for less than $10 a month. Link is in the description below. Broncos versus Dolphins. For me, I'm probably looking at Walsh and Haas. Again, the weather is a little bit concerning for Walsh, but Payne Haas just an automatic option every single week. And Josh, you've got Tedesco against the Titans, which I also love. I think the reason why we don't think about guys like this is because they're just not well owned. But he could be in the ruck whisperers this week.
Have you got inside sources into my camp? Do you have?
Per
do I have a bowl?
Yeah, just per sources.
Per sources.
Yeah,
I mean, your per sources might be true. No, Teddy 6 o'clock Friday against the Titans. I think you were telling me in our just in our group chat between the three of us that he's gone 100 in the last 3 attempts against the Titans or something like that, like something crazy.
Loves playing against the Titans. Sorry, you put me on the spot. I didn't have the numbers on me.
No, but in saying that, with all this weather around, and whilst you get those stats, with all this weather around, if we can fade the monsoon before it hits this weekend, we can get a somewhat dry Teddy against the Titans where you're about to rattle off the stats. I think he could be. We've seen, mate, like I looped 95 last week with Nico, and he updated a bit, but like we've just seen points in hand with this flexing is probably the play.
I agree. So his last 3 games against the Titans have gone 130, 134, 126. So by no means are these small hundreds either. He isn't just trickling over. He's gone very large. So, yeah, and this is the appeal of buying Teddy this week is because he's got a 92 break even, I think it is, and there's every chance he could exceed that by 20 or 30 points this week.
It could be a cash cow this week.
Could be a cash cow.
Great value this week with the 92.
And then, mind you, his last game against Souths, which he plays next week, the last 2 games he's played against Souths, he's gone 140 and 135 against Souths. So the next fortnight could be anything from Teddy. You just never know. He could be back up in the 900s next week. So, don't mind the little pod play on Teddy this week, that's for sure, especially with the Origin schedule. You probably just hold him from here. But I like it. I like Teddy. I like Walsh. I like Haas. Storm versus the Dragons. I think the obvious ones there are Munster and Pappenhausen. Anybody else there that's standing out to you?
I don't think Munster's got a bad floor if you're looking at a captain or a vice captain this week. I think that he could get 90 quite easily against the Dragons.
Am I having a mind? Oh, it's Jack Howarth. I was like, who's the left centre for? Who's the right centre this week? Who's the right centre for Melbourne?
Grant Anderson.
Val's up against Grant Anderson.
Yeah, okay. Don't hate that.
If you want to go right, if you're playing like captains in draft, like Val could be a great BC. If you're playing captains in draft 1, have a long hard look at yourself.
You're a coward.
Yeah, but also like seriously, like. You need to do the morning routine of where old mate just puts his face in the bottle of Saratoga. Have a really long look at yourself. But secondly, you've made your decision. Val could be a great VC in draft, even in classic. Like if you got a weird team and you don't listen to podcast advice, shout out to you. But I like Val this week.
Speaking of people who would probably put banana on their face, Nico Hines against the Bulldogs. I reckon he could go very large this week.
Big 4 a.m. wake up guy.
Yeah, I reckon there's every chance. He's done a morning routine or 2 on social media.
Do you think Nico Hines owns sleep tape? Yes or no?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be that goat tape that keeps all over my Facebook. There's that goat tape with the magnets on each side that opens your nostrils up.
Yeah.
It's that one for sure. Nico, obvious. Turbo and Garrick. We talked a little bit about our concerns on Turbo. Garrick, are we chasing last week's points? Those are probably 2 relevant questions. I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, I'm still relatively high on Garrick, Matty. What are your thoughts on Turbo, though, as a captain with the chance he might get rested early?
Oh, like to be completely honest, if I had Turbo, then yeah. But like I'm just trying to put a dampener on it to make myself feel better because I don't own him. Any player playing against the Eels, then yeah, fantastic. But look, they went to Garrick so often last week. Like he could rip the Eels to shreds. Is he running at the Peacock though?
Yes.
Because the Peacock's a pretty good defender. Love me some of the Peacock there, but look, I think Turbo's a good one there.
But with Turbo, like this is why you held, isn't it?
100% it is.
So, captain, wheels up.
100%. Terrell May for the last game of the round at Campbelltown Stadium, Tigers Warriors. I can't argue against Terrell May as a captain going up against the middles of the Warriors.
I think this game is just going to be absolute slugfest. Like I think this is
You
just
reckon
gonna
up
be
the middle?
brutal game to the middle.
Bit of rain as well, I think, and also we need to keep in mind most games are going to be rain affected this week. So yeah, I think there's every chance. Even AFB against Bulldog, a very small Bulldogs forward pack. Let's be honest, they don't have much size about them in the middle. So AFB could run amok through the middle of the park against the Dogs this week as well. So don't mind that.
If Josh Curran's not calling people offside.
Yeah, he can't do that from the edge because the referee and the players won't hear him. So it's okay. It's all good. Guys, let's talk our game day squad of the week, brought to you by Game Day Squad. Of course, they are the perfect crossover between card collecting and fantasy sports. You can get involved with Game Day Squad by going to gamedaysquad.com or download the Game Day Squad app. Use the code IFSAUS. Get yourself 3 9-player common packs to get your squad started. Up to $100,000 in prizes every single year as well, which is pretty cool. So shout out to Game Day Squad and thank you for sponsoring the show. We've got a squad matrix.
Can I tell you something as somebody that
Please
had a
do.
poor score last week?
Yes.
That actually doesn't matter when you play Game Day Squad because it just resets every week. They give away weekly prizes, much like SuperCoach, but it's a lot easier to get the weekly prizes because you don't have to hold the guys the whole time. Like when I start to look up matchups for this week, I start to look at, teams. Like I would be playing some Roosters against the Titans, and like maybe last week that I wouldn't have been playing them. I can just add them into my team for Game Day Squad. Hopefully have a ripper week and win some prizes. I really like that about Game Day Squad. And if they're on a massive high, you can sell them for real cash. It's actually a bit addictive.
Yeah, it is. And you can jump in the store and you can buy cards off players and you can sell cards that have gone big. Yep.
Buy Fletcher Sharp on a bye week right now, guys. Join me.
A bit of a stash of Fletcher Sharp. I got Tedesco and Tedesco and Crichton in this squad of the week for me. So you'll see the full squad. It'll be on our social media tomorrow, so you can keep an eye out for that. Try and match it. Try and beat it. You can join our league as well. The league code is in the description as well. So you'll see it all over our social media at Insight NRL on Instagram and on Insight F Sports at X. So you'll find our Game Day Squad there. Get involved and use the code IFSAUS to get your squad started. Boys, we've got plenty coming up, obviously, over the next couple of weeks with, there's a lot going on in the SuperCoach world. There's a lot going on in the Patreon. So if you missed any of our content up until now, or you want to get involved and get a bit more access to us, you can become a subscriber, less than $10 a month. Make sure you go to PC and sign up there. Don't sign up on Apple. Save yourself a bit of cash. But you get your buy, hold, sell articles. You get plenty of access to us, all of the WhatsApp chat, as well as the expert analysis from us. So make sure to subscribe as well, guys. We would appreciate the support. If you do like the show, you do like our content, hit that subscribe button and the like, give us a review, follow, all those things. And join the Unlimited League. It's 211518. You'll see it on the screen there. You can win stuff every week, and we'll be giving the winner at the end of the year a Patreon subscription for a full year. So definitely worth jumping on in there and getting involved. But Mattrix, any final words, mate, before we wrap this one up? We've got a big week ahead.
Mate, it's resonating with me with the weather. So, look, keep an eye on the weather. Maybe it's going to be a little bit harder to get a high score out of your outside backs. Look, a lot of us got these squads towards your Payne-Haas, Terrell May, Tino Fasul, Malawi. Maybe they should be wearing an armband this week and we just weather the storm, pun intended, this week.
Josh, anything to add before we finish up, mate?
No, if anyone wants to help me out with my fullback choice, then feel free to join the WhatsApp chat and let me know because I'm struggling.
Yes, I'm sure there'll be plenty of polls and plenty of votes. That's for sure. But guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us as always on Wednesday. Yeah, there's plenty going on in there. But thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the WhatsApp if you become a subscriber. Otherwise, we'll see you for Sunday wrap up at the end of round 4. Good luck this week. Catch you later.
Cheerio.